Hey guys, BBI here. I want to stop and say thanks for tuning in and checking out whatever the video is about that's about ready to come up next. If you could take a minute and hit subscribe, I'd greatly appreciate it. And if you enjoy what you've seen here, make sure to hit the like button. We'd greatly appreciate your support. Anyhow, guys, all that aside, let's get on with the show. Now, we all seen what I did with the last 12 pack that came in here. 10-4. Okay. It's got to change. Look, if we look at this and we step back and we go to our, just, take a second and go deep inside our own little brains and go, let's look and see how well things are connected. Do we really feel that this is an adequate connection for ground? No. Do we really feel that this slobber mess here is going to be good for passing all the positive current? Right? No. And then we look at this trace and we see how hot this trace has gotten, where it's burning the flux right out of the trace. Is that flux, or is that there's grease on this? Why would you put dielectric grease? Why would you put dielectric grease? Dielectric grease is like chapstick. Why would you put chapstick on there? Anyhow, this trace has obviously gotten hot, so we're going to change the power distribution network. I worry if I'm going to get like chlamydia from some son of a gun. Ew. Let's spray it down with some fluorocarbons, some alcohols, some ketones, and xylenes that just came out of that electronic wash. That'll sterilize my fingers. It'll kill everything. Okay. Why would you put chapstick? Now, usually with these 12 packs, we'll find that there's going to be some heating issues because of the poor ground. And what you'll find is that this bolt is more or less passing the ground to this piece of metal. This piece of metal is attached to the heatsink. And you'll find that the ground current flows up from the heatsink because it's the shortest distance with the most amount of pathway. These attachment points here to the heatsink are there to help flow the current over to the transistor. Hence the reason you've got these big traces that are here. There's another one that runs up underneath here and up through here. It's a big distribution network. You guys wonder where the white schmoo always comes from? That's on my towel here. Clean all the pill pockets out. See, I washed the schmoo out of the thing. Normally I do this, I got a little wash tray capture basin that's outside that I do this in. I just never had one come in with chapstick on it before. Odd. Okay, so I think we go any further and put any more energy into this. The guy says to me that this thing is working. I believe him. I don't see anything that is leading me not to feel that the thing is going to work. But let's do a little before and an after. And we're not seeing any real heavy heating. I mean, we're seeing some of it, but I think that this thing has been repilled several times. The solder work around some of these transistors is just subpar. So let's go ahead and hook it up and hit it. It at one point had a 1-pill driver section, and that's obviously been deleted. So I'm sure they didn't adjust this capacitor here, which is primarily your only point of tune since there's no induction that you can play with here. But let's hook it up and run it and see what we get out of it for power. Okay, so I had to permanently ground the relay because the keying circuit is not wanting to stay latched. So we're going to start out at really low drive power. We're going to take the 2950. It's a 5-watt slug between the 2950 and, of course, the 12-pack. We're going to hit this thing real quick. That is a 1,000-watt slug and peak, 1,000-watt average, 5-watt slug and reverse spectrum bird, 10,000-watt dummy load around 14 volts. So we can't talk through. Well, yeah, we can. Hello. Here's our drive. Pass our tune. Hello. Okay, so that's all working as it should. We're going to hit the relay, or we're going to hit the switch, which is going to latch the relay up solid. Hello. About 300 watts. Here's the scary bit. Hello. And climbing. Now if we take our FLIR, we've got a real hot spot over here. And we're seeing our output resistors getting real hot. And if we go and look at each one of the two transistor units, because this is an amp, this is an amp, this is an amp, this is an amp, this one's dead. So something in this circuit has gone toast. So we don't have any burnt 10 ohmers, but that's not always an indicator that one of the pills has not gone down. Okay, so we don't burn up the coil in the relay. We got some problems in this little guy. We're going to go find out what they are. So first things first is we're going to check all our caps. Then we're going to check all of our input and output solder connections. And those all look fairly good. But we're going to heavily modify this thing, and we're going to make it put out some retarded power. We're going to change windings. We're going to change chokes. We're going to add resistors. We're going to change, like, this solid core coax. This won't carry what I'm going to make this box do. So we're going to probably change that out to some, like, RG400 or something. So on that note, let the madness begin. Boom, 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 boom. Jeez, it's like a fog bank in here. So I must have been vaping. Mr. Ken, here is your 12-pack. So I took this whole end of the amp apart, and I couldn't find a short. I couldn't find the dead transistor or nothing. What I did end up finding is when I removed the Sauberly slew, this thing here, that was in here, and I pulled this out, I found quite a few balls of solder that were splooged across the output section right down here that were shorting everything out. So I thought, well, I'm in here. Let's do this thing justice. So the last time I checked, RG58 wasn't rated to carry 2,000 watts of power, right? And this little relay here is like something they stole out of a Pride. Also isn't rated to carry the juice. And this here is never going to work as a good ground. So I went ahead and I lifted out the relay. I put a new relay in its place. Changed all the wiring back here for the keying circuit. Replaced the input coax. Changed the input circuit quite a bit. I gave the amp a bath. Washed the chapstick off this thing. Changed your power wire distribution. Gave you an upgrade here on the power wire distribution for the positive side. And then heavily modified your output tune network. All this is new. Changed the coax out. Added a good sufficient ground. You guys got to remember that the heat sink's actually doing most of the work when it comes to the ground on this amplifier. This bolt goes to this, which bolts to the heat sink, and then throughout the board here, here, and here, we've got ground coming up from the heat sink coming through the board traces. Now somebody has been in here and modified this quite a bit. These are stolen out of a Texas Star. They're 1,000 puff metal Mylars, which is good. Those are good parts. They put up with the heat and the punishment. It's like somebody wanted to do what I was planning on doing to this thing, but they didn't like have the full bag of knowledge to get you to the home run. So now when we pulled away on the first video on this thing, if memory serves me, it was only doing 200 watts and only half the box was working. So now what we're going to do is I got the 2-pill in line because we're going to run it out to the max. But we got the 2950. We're on 14 volts again. It's a 1,000 watt slug and peak, 1,000 in average, 5 watt slug and reverse, back from the Bird 10,000 watt dummy load. Let's go ahead and show you drive here real quick. There's our 20 watts, the same as before. Let's go ahead and look at the reflect slug here so we can show you the pass-through tune. That's nice and low. So now we're seeing almost 700 peak watts and 200 bird when we were only seeing 200 peak before. So let me go ahead. We're going to take this up to the 2x position. We're going to shut the amp off. I'm going to show you how much drive we're putting in it. Just over 400 peak watts. So this is now a high drive, the way it's supposed to be driven. Oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Pause. Back up here. We're going to go back down to the 1x scale. See how that's going in reverse? So we've got a half a watt of input reflect. That's it. And the more power we put to it, it drops down. So now we've seen our input tune. We're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the leaving a 1x, click the amp off, kicked on the 2-pill. About 400 watts of drive. Now we can go to the 2x. 400 watts of drive. 1850 and some change. About 600 bird. 550 bird. Now this thing's working like a regular, straight, normal, what we'd expect to get out of 8 Toshiba 2879 transistors. So let's change radios. We're going to hook up the Hot Rod Frankenstein radio from old D-Rail there at Wolfman CB. We're going to start all over again. We'll shut the amp off, go back down to 1x. We'll shut the 2-pill off. A little bit less peak power. 380 watts of drive. So we'll turn the 12-pack on. Back up to the 2x position. There's our 18 and some change, 19 and some change. Seen almost 800 bird. So I got the mic gain up on this. Yeah, my dead key too low. Man, seems to be a little flaky. Now we're styling. Check it out. It's just working. Hello. I blew the fuse. Well, that sucks. So I got to hook the D-Rail radio up. turned it on, it blew a fuse out of it. So I'm not going to even run that. Ken, we're just going to have to run with a 2950 hitting it, and you getting 500-600 bird out of it and 2,000 peak. No pain, no strain. This thing's working. Oh, buddy, I'm going to put the lid on this thing. We're going to send it out to you here in the next couple days. I appreciate you sending this thing up, giving me an opportunity to go through it and make it right. I think you're going to enjoy it and get a lot of years of use out of it. So, on that note, oh, and the last thing I want to say is, dude, I put a grommet on this. This was just bare wire insulation to the case, and that's never safe. So, oh, and the other thing is, I upgraded your eyelet back here. I went ahead and crimped it, hydraulically crimped it, and then I soldered it, and I changed that all around too. So your power leads are just a little bit shorter, but it's all for safety. That's it. Done, squared away. 12-pack, modified. Gentlemen, my name is BBI. Without a shadow of a doubt, I am the biggest mud duck in Idaho. Come check us out, www.bbiamps.com. It's your first time ever tuning in and checking out what I'm doing over here. Make sure to hit the subscribe button. I greatly appreciate it. Guys, I got to go. I got a bunch of stuff I got to go work on this week. I appreciate you all tuning in to check it out. Bump, bump from your biggest mud duck in Idaho. I'll see you. Bye-bye.